Hello, we're here today to learn all about teaching kids how to use cutlery. It can be a bit tricky, but we've got all the tips and tricks, and make sure you stick around to the end to find out what our favourite cutlery is here at Stepping Up. I'm Michelle Newby and I'm your OT mentor, and let's go.
So today I'm going to take you through using cutlery, teaching kiddos how to use cutlery. Woohoo! We get so many children who come to OT who just really struggle to use a knife and fork. And that can be really tricky for them when they're going for play dates at their friends' houses and having dinner and not being able to use a knife and fork, or going out for dinner and in a restaurant and having to use their fingers. And so, being able to use a knife and fork is really, in our culture, it's a very important kind of functional task that kiddos need to learn. And so it's our job as OTs to help children to be able to do that confidently. So I've got some strategies to help you. So what you want to do is you just want to start small. Okay, so you don't want to jump in with the knife and fork just to begin with, because that's quite a complex task and it can be a little bit daunting for that child. So we're just going to start with maybe a spoon, sort of learning how to scoop and pour into something else, or bringing up to their mouth, and then a fork. So we're thinking about how we're holding the fork, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But using a fork to stab, so developing that eye-hand coordination for being able to sort of align the fork with the food. And then once they've developed some competency with just one single tool, then you're going to bring in the old knife and fork together. But what you're going to do, you're not going to jump straight into food because it can feel quite scary for a child to use a knife and fork when they don't really feel like they know what they're doing. So what we do here at Stepping Stones is we just play. So we will play, and we'll have like Play-Doh, or we'll have, depending on the firmness that we want to be working on, we might use some Theraputty, and we'll have a picnic. We'll like get the picnic blanket out, and we'll get, the cup and saucer and a plate, and, a knife and a fork. And we're going to roll up some sausages, and we're going to cut them up and share them around, and or rolling up some potatoes, or making a cake and cutting the cake up. But it's fun and there's no pressure, and I think kids start to develop their confidence much more quickly when they're taught things in play, because we're taking away the stress and the pressure, and no one's looking at what they're doing with food. It's just a fun game. But the other thing you need to do is you actually need to show them how to use the knife and fork, or how to use the spoon, or how to use the fork, because we just assume that everyone just automatically knows how to use the knife and fork. Everyone knows how to hold it. And there's actually a really, really good blog post on the Stepping Stones Facebook page that I'm going to put down in the comments for you, that really guides you through finger placement. Now, I'm going to show you though on here, because it's your lucky day. So I've got some caring cutlery. We'll talk about this in a little while. But so you want to show them. So what I do is, even if it's just a standard cutlery, I'll put a little sticker here to guide them where their pointer finger needs to go. And I sometimes put a little sticker on their index fingernail as well, because it's all about that, getting that index finger right. And then same with the knife. There we go. And what I say to them is, we always need to be able to see the sticker. So the sticker needs to be pointing up to the ceiling. Can you see the sticker? Because sometimes, they might be, start holding it like this, or, there can be a variety of different grasp patterns that you'll see. But yeah, just cueing them that, we always need to be seeing that sticker. Can we see the sticker? It's really useful. And then just demonstrating the motion, because again, they don't automatically know how to use a knife and fork together. So the way that we do that is we're doing it with Play-Doh, and we're going, okay, so the fork's job is just to stab the potato. That's it. So it goes stab. So we stab, and then it stays still. So we keep that potato really still so the fork doesn't move. And then it's the job of the knife to saw backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. And only when you've reached the bottom can you move that fork? So it's really about, remembering that one side is the stabilizing side and the other side is the mobility side, the moving side. And some kids who have tricky bilateral integration, so they're not really coordinating those two sides of their body effectively, really struggle with that. So, as much sort of cueing in a fun way that you can is really useful. So this one stays really still and this one does all the work. Well, this one's having a rest, he doesn't do anything, but this one, he does all the work. And so just remembering that the knife who does all the work goes into that child's dominant hand. And so we're training them, which hand is the one that's doing the work. And yeah, so that's what we do. So yeah, you just want to encourage as much play as possible. So in encouraging parents to sort of help them play with non-food items with cutlery at home as well, and making it fun. And then what you want to do is start to introduce food into your clinic sessions, but you need to be thinking about the type of food that the kiddo's cutting. So for example, like cutting up a banana is so much easier than cutting up a sausage. Sausages can be pretty easy, but to begin with, you want some quick wins for this kiddo because you want them to develop some confidence with this tricky task. So start with food that's really easy to cut up, and then you can move towards more tricky food where they've really got to have a go with that knife. So the other thing to think about is making sure that you're using the right tools. So if a child can use standard cutlery, that's the best thing to give them. If they can use it, if they can get their little hands around it, then that's great. But just think about, a lot of children are expected to use adult cutlery, but it's way too big for their little hands. And so it's hard for them to manipulate that. So thinking about child-sized cutlery, and if they can use standard child-sized cutlery, then work with that. We want them to be able to use standard issue equipment if they can. But some kids, the standard cutlery just doesn't give them enough feedback, doesn't give them enough sensory feedback, and it can also just be really tricky for them to grasp. So there's lots of different alternatives on the market. You can get like built-up handles like this one here. Some therapists will just buy a foam roll and put the foam roll on the end. It's whatever you have. We absolutely adore this brand, and we'd have no association with them. This is called Care and Cutlery, the brand, and I started using them in the UK. And I've used them in New Zealand. Now I'm in Australia and they're here. So they're just so good. And the reason that I love them is, if you can see, they've just got this really perfectly molded handle. So they've got a beautiful little dip here where that index finger can just nuzzle into there. And so it's giving them a cue for where to place their finger. And it just gives them a little bit more tactile feedback around their finger. And then this lovely molded handle just fits perfectly into that palmar arch to help guide kind of finger closure and grasp around that. So I absolutely love and live by Care and Cutlery. And there's lots of other brands on the market that are similar to these. So do look around. I know Tommee Tippee had a great one, but they stopped making those. So do look around, but that's what you're looking for. So that's the pediatric cutlery in the Care and Cutlery range. And they also have older, more adult sizes. You can see there's Play-Doh in that one as well. So for those older kiddos who are really struggling with cutlery, then you can use this, and it can be, it's like I said in the beginning, it's such an important daily task that we all take for granted, that we can just use a knife and fork. And so it can be something that's quite embarrassing, say for a teenager who doesn't know how to use cutlery, and cutlery is tricky. So there's alternatives. out there. So that's all we have today. If you liked this video and you want to see more of this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe and put a little comment down the bottom and share with your friends, because we are just all about empowering early career OTs to sort of serve their clients in the best possible way. We're all here to help children live their best lives, and so we're here to just share what we do with you. All right, we'll see you next time for more.